Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all very much for coming and joining us. So first of all, let's clarify. Tomorrow morning, Shachris is regular at 7:30. We had put on the calendar 7:15 because I thought people would want extra time because of Slichas, but the consensus of opinion is to leave it at 7:30, especially since a lot of people don't know about it. So Shachris tomorrow morning is 7:30. Also, if you are makbid to fulfill Toameha, I'm not talking about buffalo wings. I'm talking about that people, the Yerushalmi says that if a person tastes the food, it causes arichas yamim, because it says Toameh Chaim Zachu, to see if it needs a little salt, a little pepper. So it's brought down that you could fulfill Toameh tonight. So you put up something for Shabbos tonight, and you taste it, you fulfill Toameh. There are shitas, but I don't recommend it. There are shitas that say that you could put the food in your mouth, taste it, and spit it out. And that way you could do Toameh on the tanis, but it's better not to play around with that. You don't get it all out, and you end up swallowing something. So Thursday night is a good way to do it. We start the 16th parak of Yevamos, and that's really, really, really pretty amazing. It's the final parak of Yevamos. And this was, when you learn the Mishna Yomis cycle, this is one of the harder Masechtas, and we did it. And bravo to everybody. We're sponsored by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perel Bas Ruvain. Also, Lil Nishmas Avram Dov ben David, Rufu Shalem Fel Yomis ben Chayesar, and the Schus of Avram ben Yom Benish ben Malki Yudis and family, by Yol Klugman and family. So the Mishnah tells us, Ha'isha Shalach Ba'alav Etzarasa L'Medina Sayam. What happened was Ruvain was married to two wives, Sarah and Dinah. And what happened was Ruvain went overseas together with Dinah, the co-wife. Ubova Amrullah, and Dinah comes back and says, Meis Balech. Dinah comes back and says that your husband died. So we know that rivals are not believed to give testimony to one another. I'm sorry, I mixed up the case. Again, scratch that. A woman, her husband and her rival went overseas. Ubova Amrullah, and witnesses came and testified that that Ruvain died. So now she should be able to remarry. The only thing is she can't remarry because she's childless. So normally she would be miyabem, but she can't be miyabem because maybe Dinah, the rival, had a baby. It's Israel, they don't have phones. And if she had a baby, then there's no yibam. On the other hand, maybe she didn't have a baby, and she can't marry because she has to be miyabim. So therefore, loitinase v'loitis yabim, she can't marry, she can't be miyabim at sheteda shema muberes hitzarasa, until she finds out whether Dinah was pregnant and had a child. Again, if Dinah was pregnant and had a child, there's no mitzvah of yibam. On the other hand, if she didn't have a child, so she can't marry l'chutz, she has to be miyabim or get chalitza. Now, in this case, we're worried because any child that she has, whether a boy or a girl, would exempt from yibam. However, if she had a mother-in-law overseas, and here her husband doesn't have a brother, should she be concerned that maybe her mother-in-law had a child and now there is a brother? Eina chesheshes. she doesn't have to worry. Because first of all, maybe she didn't become pregnant. And if she did become pregnant, maybe she had a girl. The girl wouldn't be a problem of Yibam. And maybe it would be a miscarriage. However, Yotza Malaya, if the mother-in-law was pregnant, then chasheshes. Then she has to be concerned and find out that she didn't have a boy. Because if she had a boy, so then she has to wait until that boy grows up and gives her either chalitza or yibam. Rabbi Yeshua says even if the mother-in-law was pregnant, eina chasheshes. Why? Because the roiv is that's not going to be a yavam. Number one, 50% it might be a girl. And it's possible to be a miscarriage. So since the majority is that she wouldn't be yibam, so she doesn't have to be concerned and she could get married. Mishna Beis tells us, Shtei Yevamos. Here we have a situation where Reuven is married to Sarah and Shimon is married to Yocheved. Again, Reuven is married to Sarah and Shimon is married to Yocheved. Shtei Yevamos, two sister-in-laws. Zuoi Meres Meis Bailey. Sarah says, my husband Reuven died. The Zuoi Meres Peis Bailey. And Yocheved says, my husband Shimon died. Each one, they're both childless. Each one is not allowed to marry. Because although they're believed to say that their husband died, but they're not believed the rivals report that the brother-in-law died. And therefore they might have to have Yibam. Zu asura b'pnei bail shel zu. Sarah can't get married because maybe Shimon is alive and she has to do Yibam because she's not allowed to trust Yocheved that Shimon died. She's not allowed to trust the sister-in-law because sister-in-laws hate each other because the potential that they could become rivals. V'zu asura b'pnei bail shel zu. And Yocheved can't get married, although she's believed to say her husband died, but she can't get married because she can't believe that Reuven is dead, and therefore there might be a Yibam. There might be a Yavam. L'zu eidim v'l'zu ein eidim. The plot thickens. Sarah, there's witnesses that Reuven died. But Yocheved, there's no witnesses that Shimon died. Eshi yesh la eidim. Sarah that has witnesses, she can't marry. Because there's no witnesses that Shimon died, and she can't trust Yocheved. Asura, the Esha ain't la'edim, but Yocheved, she's believed to say Shimon died, and that Reuven died, there's witnesses. So therefore, she's muteris. L'zu banim v'l'zu ein banim. Let's say Reuven and Sarah had children, but Shimon and Yocheved didn't have children. Esha yesh lo banim. Sarah that has children, now she can marry, because she's believed to say her husband died, and there's no problem of Yibam because she had children. So muteris. The Esha ein lo banim. But Yocheved, who doesn't have children, Asura, she can't get married because although she's believed that her husband died, but she doesn't have children, so she falls to Yibam, and she can't trust Sarah that Reuven is dead, that the Yavam is dead. Nisyabmu. Here's interesting. Remember, they're believed to say their husbands died. So Sarah said Reuven died. Yocheved said Shimon died. And there's two other brothers, Levi and Yehuda. So since they're believed to say their husband died, so each one could be miyabing. Says the Gemara, nisyabmu, if Sarah was miyabing to Levi, because she's believed to say that her husband died, and died childless, so she's miyabim Levi, and Yocheved is miyabim Yehuda. Umeisu hayavamim. And then Levi and Yehuda die. And now, again, they can't get married l'shuk because Yocheved can't get married l'shuk because maybe Reuven is still alive and he'll have to be miyabim. And Sarah can't get mutter l'shuk because maybe Shimon is alive. Asuras linase. However, Rabbi Lazar here says a big chiddush. Rabbi Lazar says, once we permitted them to do Yibam, so we did a Maisa that shows that Shimon died and Reuven died. Once we permitted them to Yibam, we therefore assume that both Reuven and Shimon are dead, and therefore now Sarah and Yocheved could get married l'shuk if there's no other brothers. Marv again, second Marv at 7:45. We need everybody. Also note that Mincha is earlier by 10 minutes because of the Tanis, because we have to lane, and tomorrow. And also the Mishna Yomis will be before Mincha, so that we don't have to delay with the extra speech of Mishna Yomis, so people could get home earlier to eat. So I'm going to do the Mishna Yomis before Mincha instead of after Mincha. Thank you very much for joining us.